I'm Hammi. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be closing out my budget for the month of March. March was a really expensive month for me. I had a lot of expenses that I had to look after which were unexpected, and I went over budget by a really huge amount of money. But thank God for my buffer category, I could take out money from my buffer. I did not have to dip into my savings. I did not have to take a debt to accommodate those expenses. So for the month of March, I budgeted with 65,000 rupees. Even though I'm trying to budget each month within 60,000 this year, I gave myself 65 because there was a festival that I had to budget for, and also there were 2 birthdays that I had to budget for. I have 4 categories in my budgeting system. That is, I have a savings and investment, and the second is fixed costs and expenses. The third is my short-term savings or say sinking funds, and then I have a guilt-free spending category. So for my savings and investment, I always take out 10% of my income to budget for. So out of 65,000, the 10% is 6,500. In my savings and investment category, I have emergency fund, SIP, and provident fund. For my emergency fund, I budgeted 2,000 rupees, and I did put 2,000 rupees into it. So there is no difference. SIP also, I budgeted 2,000 and I invested 2,000 rupees. Provident fund, I had budgeted 2,500 and I did deposit 2,500 into my provident fund. Insurance was budgeted 2,460. The actual was also 2,460, not difference. Siblings fund, I budgeted 1,000. These are my fixed expenses that I put into each month. EMI is 13,615. The actual is also 13,615, so there's no difference here as well. LIC loan, I budgeted 1,000 for that. There's no difference here as well. Room rent was 4,500, no difference. Subscription, I budgeted 1,800 and I did use 1,800. So there's no difference here as well. Ration also, there's no difference. I budgeted 3,000 and the actual amount that I put into ration was also 3,000 rupees. For my petrol category, I budgeted 3,500 for the month, but I only spent 3,100 rupees. So the difference is I was left with 400 rupees at the end of the month. Food and groceries, I budgeted 5,000, but the actual amount that I spent in food and groceries was 5,830 rupees. So this gives me a negative balance, and the difference is minus 830 rupees. For my personal category, I budgeted 3,000 rupees, but I ended up spending 4,809 rupees. And this was because I bought 2 pairs of shoes. I love wearing white shoes. I feel like white shoes goes with everything. Now, come to think of it, I could have bought one and I would not have gone over budget. But I ordered one from Myntra and then it was good to look at. It was comfortable when I put it on. But since I'm a physiotherapist and my work requires me to stand a lot throughout the day, I started having leg pains. And since I'd already worn it, I couldn't return it back. And this time what I did was I didn't order online. I just went to the market. I like to put on the shoes, stand on it, walk with it, and then buy the shoes. So I went to the market and I bought 2 more pairs, and that's where I got over budget. Now come to look at it, I could have done with 1 pair because the other pair I've not worn it still. It's been, I think, more than 3 weeks now since I bought those 2 pairs. I have only been wearing 1 pair. Since I had budgeted only 3,000 rupees and I spent 4,809 rupees, I am over budget by 1,809 rupees. Now coming to eating out, I had budgeted 1,500 rupees for eating out, but I ended up spending 1,575 rupees in my eating out category. So I'm over budget here as well by 75 rupees. Birthdays, I budgeted 3,000 rupees for 2 people. That's 1,500 and 1,500. I won't have any difference here as well. Festivities, I budgeted 3,000 and I did spend the 3,000. Coming to my miscellaneous category, this is where I went over budget because my miscellaneous category is for everything that I do not budget for. So I budgeted 8625, but I ended up spending 27,653 rupees, which means I ended up spending 19,028 rupees more than what I had budgeted for. For my sinking funds, I had budgeted 3,500 because I always allocate 5% of whatever amount that I'm budgeting with, but I ended up putting 5,240 rupees into it. So, which means I went over budget here as well by 1,740 rupees. Now, when we do the math, the total amount that I budgeted, which was actually 65,000 rupees, but the amount that I actually spent in the month of March was 88,082 rupees. So the difference will be 88,082 minus 65,000 is 23,082 rupees. So I'm negative by 23,082 rupees. Total income was 65,000. Total expense is 88,082 rupees, and the difference is minus 23,082 rupees. So this is the amount that I was over budget with. As I was doing my budget closeout for the month, and when I saw that I had overspent by this much in the month of March, I wanted to know where all my money went, because sometimes in life, when a lot of things are happening with you and around you, and you're just facing one day at a time, you don't actually realize what's happening. And it was only when I sat down to do my budget, I saw that, okay, I had spent this much money. And it was a mix of everything for the month of March. So I went back to my expense tracker and I sat down and did some math. I have categorized the expenses here. So I spent 1,000 rupees in ironing, and I know that ironing is something that I can do on my own. I have been doing the ironing thing myself for a very long time. But to be very honest, ironing my clothes, doing my nails, coloring my hair are some things that I don't enjoy doing. These are things for which I feel like somebody could do it for me, you know. And since I've started the Conscious Spending Plan by Ramit Sethi, he also talks about a term where he says you have to choose your rich life, and rich life can be different for everybody. So ironing is something that I don't enjoy at all. 80% of my clothes are cotton, so it needs to be ironed. But since a few months now, I have started giving my clothes to iron at the laundry. And so it's okay for me, like 1,000 rupees into ironing. Yes, I could have done it myself. This would have meant that I would have saved 1,000 rupees, but it's okay because this is something that I don't want to do. I don't look forward to it. I feel like it's a waste of time, waste of energy. So 1,000 was spent on ironing, and this is something it's going to cost every month. For my household expenses, I spent 75.20 in the month of March out of the miscellaneous category. What happened was in the first week of March, I bought a induction for the house. Gas cylinder is very expensive and we are a very big family. So I thought like I would buy an induction and that would save a little bit of gas. That was 5,000 rupees. And there were other expenses. I don't actually remember what they were. I have it written somewhere, but I forgot. And then for gift, I spent 2,961 rupees because my nieces and all have come back home and I bought things for them. I gave them a pizza party. Also, one of my neighbor, they had their first baby born and I bought some gift for them. So that was 2,961 and 9,002 rupees was spent on family. There were a lot of things actually happening. In the second week of March, my sister was to leave for a project where she had to stay at a village. Before she left, we went shopping. And then in the third week of March, my aunt, she had a stroke and she was hospitalized. And exactly at the same time, my cousin sister, she had a housewarming party. I gifted her a few things. And after her housewarming party, my aunt who was hospitalized, she died. So there were some expenses for the funeral as well. These were so many things happening one after the other, and that was the expense. Travel is something that's very interesting. I spent 4,500 rupees in traveling in the month of March, but I didn't travel anywhere. The story behind it is that my sister, she left for the project and she stayed there for a week. When she was coming back, I was supposed to go and pick her up. So me, my brother, my sister-in-law, and my nephew, we packed up, we took my brother's car, and I filled petrol worth of 3,000 rupees. But I didn't go. Within half an hour of traveling, I got so sick, I just couldn't travel anymore. So I told my brother to stop the car. I got down there and they left because they had to go and pick my sister. I waited in a roadside dhaba. I live in Arunachal. It's a hilly place, so the roads are curvy, and I am not somebody who travels a lot. So it was really, really miserable. So I gave up. I called my youngest brother to pick me up. I told him specifically to come in a bike. I gave him 1,500 rupees for petrol again. So that way I spent 4,500 rupees in traveling in the month of March, even though I didn't travel anywhere. And I have a travel or vacation category in my sinking funds. And I was thinking, should I take the money out from here? But then again, since this is for a vacation and this was such a miserable thing that happened to me, just totally opposite of what a vacation should be, I did not take the money from my vacation sinking fund, and I just let it stay in my miscellaneous category. So that was my travel expense for March. And then beauty was for some face wash, for some parlor visits and everything. Stationaries, I spent 3,000 rupees. I just bought some whiteners and some pens and some stickers. And miscellaneous, I spent 430. I went to the cobbler, and it's been years since I've been to the cobbler. And this time, I was so surprised to find that they charge 600 rupees to repair a shoe. And I was like, if I have to pay you 600 rupees, I can buy a new shoe. I needed to repair that shoe because it's still in good condition. It's just that it was raining and the sole came out, and I needed that to be stuck back, to be stitched back. So I paid him 430 rupees after negotiating a lot. And I still feel like 430 is too much to pay for repairing a shoe. So that was the expense from a miscellaneous category. And I'm glad that I did not have to take this money out from my savings. I did not take any debt. I was able to fund these unexpected expenses from my buffer. Now, coming to my sinking funds, I always carry over what's remaining in my sinking funds category to the next month. So I'll just update the beginning balance and then the amount that had been budgeted for, and I'll come back in a bit. Car maintenance, I started the month with 3,270 rupees, and this is the rollover money from the month of February. And I budgeted 1,000 rupees into it for the month of March, so which means the total budget was 4,270. And in the month of March, I did not spend any money here, so the ending balance is 4,270, and this is what I've carried over to the month of April. Health and medical, I started the month with 2,300 and I budgeted 1,000 to it, which means I had a total amount of 3,300 for the month. But in my health and medical category, I ended up spending 5,040 rupees because I had to do my regular blood test, and I also took my mother along with me to get her blood test done, and all of it was around 5,040 rupees. 5,040 minus 3,300 is, I was over budget by 1,740. Pets, I started the month with 1,312. I budgeted 500 for the month. The total was 1,812, and I ended up spending 500 rupees. So I'm left with 1,312, and this is what I started with for the month of April. Vacation, I started the month with 4,000. I budgeted 1,000 rupees. So the total amount that I've been able to build up in vacation in the month of March was 5,000. I didn't spend anything, so I still have 5,000 rupees in my vacation sinking funds category. So this is how the month of March went for me. If you're still here watching, thank you so much. I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.